Wednesday, November 10th was a sad, sad day for the Deck Gang. We were effectively told that Christmas was canceled when Valve gave us the news that the Steam Deck would be delayed by 2 months, meaning that the earliest reservations would not receive their Steam Deck until February. Worse still, many people in the community are warning that there may be more delays to come. How could something like this happen? How will we cope? And are there any silver linings? Let's get into it. I would say what's good, Deck Gang, but it just doesn't feel right today. I couldn't see any of your faces when I posted the news on my community page, but I could feel all your pain all the same. Let's take a brief look at our collective pain and cope together. Johnny Lightning said, "No, I'm so sad, for real." Joshua said, "Bro, I'm legit crying right now." Tarek said simply, "I am sad." And Haunter summed it up well. So much pain. Yep, Haunter, so much pain. Some others in the comments posted silver linings, and I'm going to save those for later. What I want to talk about right now is how this could have happened. A lot of people are mad at Valve right now. Some of the sentiments I saw echo the sentiments of the worldwide users that have been complaining for weeks now. There seem to be some people that have a skeptical attitude towards the chip shortage and supply chain issues, going as far as to call them scapegoats for poor management, and who knows what else. And part of what I'd like to do here is nip that in the bud. Anything is possible, but I'm not going to sit here and entertain poor management arguments when I know just how bad supply chain issues are affecting literally everything. Is there more Valve could have done? It's possible, but we don't know. It wasn't but a few months ago that God of War Ragnarok was delayed, and the reason was one that none of us could have predicted. It turned out that the star voice actor for Kratos, Christopher Judge, had to have back surgery, both hips replaced, and knee surgery. The studio waited for him to rehabilitate, and that's why the game was delayed. We never would have known that if Judge himself didn't tell us that's what happened. The lesson in that is not simply that Sony Santa Monica were good folks in that scenario. It's that while we can speculate, we often don't know what's going on unless we have trusted sources. It doesn't make sense to put the blame on management unless we have a trusted source telling us that there were management issues. It doesn't make sense to distrust global supply chain issues when we know for a fact that this is a real problem right now. One argument I've seen is that Sony and Microsoft have many times the demand that the Steam Deck has. I know one friend who said he was able to snag a PS5 on day one and saw that anecdotal evidence as proof that this was a botched launch from the start. But here's the thing, every single console is hard to find right now. Not to mention graphics cards. Yes, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo presumably have greater demand, but none of them are able to fill their full demand. Comparing the demand doesn't work and is potentially a bad faith argument for a number of reasons. Let's say PS5 demand is 10x the demand for a Steam Deck. Well, the demand for an iPhone is easily 25x the PS5 demand. So by that logic, if Sony is unable to put a PS5 in the hands of everyone that wants one, then they too must have poor management. No, the truth is that there is a pecking order here. Apple can place the highest amount of orders at once for chips, and so they get the priority. Sony can place a smaller order than Apple, but much greater than Valve, so it's clear to see where they land in the totem pole. Valve is a relative newcomer in the hardware space, and what demand they do seem to have has not yet been fully realized. None of us pre-ordered the system. I repeat, none of us pre-ordered the Steam Deck. We have placed a $5 refundable deposit. If Steam Deck gets bad word of mouth in the first wave, a lot of those reservations will just poof, vanish. Valve simply cannot place the magnitude of orders that Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo can. It's as simple as that. And that's all specific to actual chips and materials. But the fact of the matter is, shipping itself has become more challenging than most of us have ever seen in our lifetimes. Did you know that the cost of a single shipping container has quadrupled since the start of 2020? Imagine going from paying $3,000 for shipping a single container of goods to paying $12,000 instead. More than that if it's on short notice. Trust me, I'm not trying to absolve Valve of their responsibility. If you've seen my Steam Deck wishlist video, you know that I believe the number one thing they have to do is tighten their messaging. It feels like they have been reticent to give us bad news in hopes that the bad news will just go away. Virtually every single YouTuber or article that has covered this news has said, "We saw this coming." If everyone saw this coming, why is Valve only giving us this news weeks ahead of the target launch month? Honestly, it's very possible that they only got the news from their own vendors and are asking the same questions to their vendors. We'll likely never know. By the way, all the same people that said we saw this coming are also saying that more delays are likely. Who knows what shape this will take, but analysts predict that chip shortages and supply chain issues will persist. For once, I don't have any speculation to offer. I think the future is wildly unpredictable and all we can do is what we can do. We can wallow, wait, and complain, or we can look at the silver linings, we can pass the time, and we can cope. If I'm helping you cope today, hit the like button, and if you'd like to pass the time with me, subscribe to my channel and slap the bell. My wife said I should make a video showing the things that you can do while we wait for the Steam Deck, and I think that's a wonderful idea. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. With that, I think now is a good time to talk about some of the silver linings. Mostly, these center around software. Valve is having trouble with hardware, which implies that they would have been prepared for a software launch in December. Of course, that's not as straightforward as it sounds. It's possible they were preparing to crunch or already were, and this gives them some breathing room through the holidays, but either way, they should have some more time to work on software. So what does that mean? For one, I hope it means that we get more games rated for the Deck Verified program by launch. Hopefully they still start showing us those results before the new year. It's already been found that Valve has made progress on getting that rating information onto the Web Store GUI. Of course, this also gives developers 2 more months of getting their games ready for Deck compatibility. There are several big games that came out in October like Guardians of the Galaxy and Age of Empires 4 that simply do not work on Proton. Not to mention the games with anti-cheat that maybe just did not have enough notice to be ready in December, but have a lot more runway now that the launch date has been moved. The next thing I'd like to see from Valve before the end of the year is the release of SteamOS 3.0 and a new big picture mode. I do understand that they'd like these launches to be in tandem with the Steam Deck launch, but I think it benefits them to release these ahead of the Steam Deck if possible. It gives the tinkerers an opportunity to test drive, especially the operating system. Not only could this result in meaningful feedback, but people could start working on tips, tricks, tutorials, and things of the like. The Linux adoption rate has been rising quickly, and it would be great to keep that momentum going with an operating system that so many are excited to try. Another silver lining is that a February release date coincides with a bunch of amazing games coming out on PC. God of War comes to PCs in January, and King of Fighters 15, Dying Light 2, Life is Strange Remastered, Sifu, Saints Row, Destiny 2 The Witch Queen, and of course Elden Ring are all set to release in February. February slaps, so be sure to save your Christmas money. Oh, that's the final silver lining. You have more time to save money for your Steam Deck, video games, and accessories. With that, let's look at some of the positive messages you all left behind. KG says, "Sucks, but on the bright side, this could mean more time to improve game compatibility." My guy Coolster TC is thinking about his pocket. He said, "This is good, more freed money for Christmas shopping." Ryan said, "Understandable, at least they have more time revamping the final product with the stock they have." That's true. Psycho Ghost gave a really positive comment. He said, "Bound to happen, but let's look at it in a positive way. If there's something that they can improve hardware or software wise, now is the chance. I know that this delay will make Valve ship an amazing product to us PC gamers, and by the time we get it, hopefully we will get enough games that work in Proton." MC Kook is a regular stoic philosopher with this one. He says, "Anticipation is the greatest joy, so we should be happy for the longer joy." I respect that. And my favorite is Kevin James saying, "I'd rather wait to get a good finished product than a rush one. I have faith in Valve. Just ride the storm, boys and girls." I love it. And I love that my audience seems like such a group of lovely folks with lively conversation. The comment section was a really good way to cope. I hope you all are keeping your heads up. This setback is but a small one, and we still have a lot more stuff to look forward to. The hype train will continue, and I'll still be your conductor. It just turns out that the journey will be a little bit longer. I had a lot of news I wanted to cover and share this week, but that will have to wait since the delay kind of knocked the wind out of me. But rest assured, I'll be back with more videos for your entertainment. And if you made it this far, you are a real one, and you may have heard this before. Like and subscribe, slap the bell to get notified. Tell a friend it's a vibe. Deck Gang out. Goodbye.